I could tell when I was talking to Seth that, light bulbs are clicking on around his head. And then there's other guys that give you the deer in the headlight look.
The series with Ric Flair, of course.
1989.
Yeah,
Chicago.
Yeah, but even the match I saw with you and him at the Meadowlands when the war was beginning, between the two companies there, and fans got to see you and Flair for the first time in person.
I think we went 60, didn't we? Yes,
you did. And I remember my mother-in-law, who had never been to a live wrestling show at all, but I got some free tickets, and she and her husband decided to come in there. And she always said to me when she saw that after that match, I said, "What did you think?" She said, "Those two guys were two sweaty gladiators." It was wonderful. Yeah. And it was wonderful. And it was so believable, because now the wrestling fan has changed these days, because back in the day when I covered your matches and when you first started and into the times that you got into WWE, the wrestling fan was a wrestling fan. It wasn't, oh, hey, this is all a show. It's a different fan these days.
That's, very clear that, there were good guy, bad guys, babyfaces and heels.
Right.
And the fans understood it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking in the 90s, there was a change to which the fans started hooraying some of the heels.
Yes.
And me with Flair being, one of those moments, they would hooray. But I later found out that once the news about our business was strictly entertainment, and kayfabe was gone.
Yeah.
That the fans started making adjustments with rooting for the heels solely because, I know he plays the role of a bad guy, but I like the way he entertains me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that came about even before that change of fan attitude with the one of the first people or teams I ever saw do that was the Road Warriors. The fans absolutely loved that. But then something happened with the internet and everything, and ECW fans kind of changed the game with a wrestler missed a move, yelling out, "You effed up, you effed up." It was totally a different fan. The fan that appreciated what you did in your day are the classic older fans who still really want that to come back. Do you watch any of it anymore?
I do not.
Okay, so
I haven't watched a show, I don't know, 10 years.
So I was going to ask you that if you knew anything about the current guys, that if Ricky Steamboat was back as Ricky Steamboat, was there a match that you never had that you always wanted to have, but it never happened? Or maybe one of the current guys that you might have seen today that you would have liked to wrestle against?
Well, I had my hand in helping Seth Rollins, and I think he's a pretty good worker.
Yeah, I think he's an excellent wrestler, technically, and the way he performs.
Yeah.
How were you instrumental in working with him?
Well, he was at when the training school was in Tampa, FCW.
Yes.
And he had been on the indie route for several years.
Correct.
And then he got looked at, and then they brought, and protocol is you got to, we don't care how good of a worker you are, you're going to have to go through the school. Mm-hmm. I mean, you might be here a month, you might be here a year, but you still have to go through the school. And I think he might have been here for 10 months or a year or something. Then he got called up to get a look-see. But He was one of the guys that you could tell that when you were talking to him about psychology, basically all the guys knew how to do moves. Everybody knows how to do body slam suplexes and jumping off the top and, all the different wrestling moves. But I found my role was to talk to them and tell them when you do this and why you do it and why it's better maybe to do this at the beginning of the match or maybe better to save it towards the end. The psychology, the reasons why we do things in the match that helps tell the story of the match.
Right.
And I could tell when I was talking to Seth that, light bulbs are clicking on around his head. And then there's other guys that give you the deer in the headlight look.
Yes.
That you could see it in their face. You could see it in their eyes. They have no clue what you're talking about, yet they're looking at you nodding like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I walk away saying that guy had not got a clue of what I was trying to say. And then when you watch him work in the ring at the school, it reflects that. It's,